All right. Hey, what's up, y'all? Yeah, I don't know what to say about that whole little debacle we just had. Um, I appreciate Frank for carrying the show for a little bit, and I have him about to call in on some Skype level stuff. So hopefully that works. I'm gonna log into my Skype right now so that I can get him on, man. Well, let me close this door real quick. So, just a little fun fact that when you're working with, different softwares, things don't really work like you need them to work. So that whole thing where people are talking about sort of stay in your lane when it comes to things, that totally applies to this, because I got being completely 100% transparent. I got a sort of a tip to start using this program called Be Live, and you can see it. It was at the top of the thing, Be Live TV, and it really it's a cool concept, but it's not 100% together. So yeah, it did not did not work like it was supposed to. And again, I appreciate Frank for carrying the show and being a productive co-host. He is the Andy Richter to my Conan O'Brien. And so it's good to know that, if I'm out, I should just call him and say, hey, here's the admin login to the Quincy Forte page. Frosty Friday is you this Friday. I'm kind of scared as to what would happen if I did that. Citrix had an option to add to Facebook. Well, if Citrix wasn't so expensive, Vic, we could definitely use Citrix. Or if you have a hookup, through, some homeboys that work at Citrix, then that would be super amazing that they would give it a try for the little fellas like me. So yeah, and they actually bought one of the companies that I was looking to use. I can't remember. So it may be in line with what you're talking about, Vic, to be completely honest. So yeah, there's that. Thanks, Jason, for joining. Where did Issa go? Her commentary was hilarious too. But yeah, so I'm trying to get. Oh, looks like Flo added me on Skype, so we're trying to get Flo in on Skype real quick. So I can still have his commentary, because I need my co-host for this particular topic. And if you haven't, what up? What up? If you haven't figured it out by now, the topic is R.I.P. Chris Cornell. Everybody knows, sort of. If you don't know, what happened, he passed away recently, and I'm guessing I haven't even heard any news. I guess it was a suicide, which is just sad all on its own. So yeah, especially being tied to such a sensitive topic, I think it's it's definitely sad. So I'm drinking Black Quad out of Real Ale. It's a Belgian quadruple, super amazing beer. And look at that color. I had it chilled all day. It's supposed to be served at like 55 degrees for the ultimate sweetness and all that good jazz. Yeah, so I have a show tomorrow at Intrinsic from noon to 3. It's going to be me and a special guest, Jeff Widman, who I haven't played with a show with this guy in forever. I'm super excited, just because he makes some really amazing music. And it's kind of one of those things. Like, I mean, Jeff, I hope you don't mind me saying this, but he he's one of those musicians that, you know, I feel that man, everybody, because he has just like like he has like his songwriting ability is like really amazing, and so he put out a project, I think around the same time that I did actually, and we were sort of recording at the same place, and things of that nature. And yeah, he has a one tune that's particular that he uses on one of their podcasts or whatever, that just, it's so super catchy. And yeah, I just can't wait for people to hear his music. Flo, let me try this one more time real quick. Yeah, so special guest tomorrow with Jeff, and I'm actually trying to work on getting more special guests, just because, yeah, playing a 3-hour set is it started off fun, just because I could do it just to do it, but at the same time, it gets a little taxing, especially when there's always so much going on. With, you know, at these shows. And so Flo, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Oh no, that's perfect. I'm just trying to get your audio on right now, so just so I have your commentary.
Cool.
Sweet.
I can dig it.
Awesome. So something worked tonight, which is super amazing. So first of all, what are you drinking off, Flo?
I'm drinking this Carlsbad Chronic straight out of Carlsbad, California. And then I got this Sam Adams Hopscape. I'm a Sam Adams fan. Never tried it. Thought I'd, you know, fit in, but now I'm reading the alcohol content. It's only 5.5.
It's funny how that happens though, right? So like back in the day, we used to be super happy with 5.5 and be like, oh man, getting tore down. And then things came out that were 7 and then 9 and like 12 and 13. And you're like, wait, what is that 3.5 and that 5.5 do? Yeah, I was going to say, so, you know, technology's horrible. But anyway, so, I brought you on here today in particular because of your subject matter expertise with the whole Chris Cornell thing, man. So first of all, A, how did it affect you, and B, what's the first song you threw on once you heard about it?
This isn't funny and it's not a joke, but the first song I threw on was Pretty Noose. It's just one that's just super mellow, great lyrics, great guitar, but how it hit me wasn't as bad as the news when I got when Kurt Cobain.
Right.
But, you know, it still hits pretty hard to home because I grew up with Temple of the Dog, Soundgarden. That was my generation. That was my world, my little pocket. You know, there was a small little niche of friends back then that listened to that music with me. Everybody else was into the R&B, the hip hop, stuff like that. I just didn't get down with. If it wasn't Eazy-E or Dr. Dre or Snoop, Tupac, Biggie in the early days,
right.
I wasn't listening to Montel Jordan or Naughty by Nature, stuff like that. It was Soundgarden, Stone Temple Pilots, Nirvana, Megadeth, Metallica, especially Guns N' Roses.
Right.
Can't forget Dr. Dre, Snoop, Eazy-E, and Too Short when I could get away with it when I wasn't around my parents.
Man, and
that's mostly what the cousins that were older and just brought that to the table. But shout out to my cousin Wayne who showed us what MTV was.
Right.
which allowed us to see things in the late '80s with with the Beastie Boys, Red Hot Chili Peppers, which just turned me into music because before all I had was mom listening to KZPS or 96.3, whatever it is, the country station every morning while she was getting ready for work before she took us to school. And anytime we're in the truck with dad, it was night.
I think I lost part of you there. But I was just gonna say I totally relate. I was a late bloomer to just rock in general. I started out listening to like AC/DC type stuff. Um, but I didn't really know what it was because my parents were R&B and soul and all that stuff, and so they couldn't tell me this is AC/DC or this is Twisted Sister, the We're Not Gonna Take It song. It was just one of those things to where I got started late, and my first I guess taste of Chris Cornell and that voice and Soundgarden and things of that nature was the Black Hole Sun. And so most people will say, oh my goodness, that's radio ish. But that was kind of like my gateway into like this. So obviously Nirvana, that Black Hole Sun, I think that was like what, 94 when it came out.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was definitely my intro. But then it allowed me to get in and then to go backwards, right? So then I started listening to like the '80s Chili Peppers, like the Mother's Milk and the earlier album, and then I didn't even know until honestly today that Soundgarden has been around since '89. Their first album was released in '89.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something that I was introduced to today as well. I didn't know they had an album previous to Bad Motor Finger with Outshined and Rusty Cage,
Right.
And Jesus Christ.
But and then to see like these younger pictures of Chris Cornell, I'm like, holy crap, man! I wonder if his voice, like I have to go back and listen to some of that stuff because I want to know if his voice was as powerful then as it was when he became, I guess, distinctive, right? So when like the spotlight got shined on that whole genre of music, right? So I kind of want to go back and listen to it and see, just how, because like some people you kind of know if they have it from when they start, right? So there's like child stars that you go back and you're like, oh my god, that little 10-year-old has a grown person voice. And so yeah, I kind of that's going to be my journey for next week or this coming weekend is kind of just to go back and listen to some of that stuff and see if it transcended, I guess, the time, right?
So I did that earlier while I was waiting for this to go on because I like I said, I found out earlier today there was an album released in 1989 which was labeled a grunge rock record.
Right.
His voice is there. It's distinctive, 100% Chris Cornell. The melodies, the rhythm, the functionality of the guitars, the bass, and the drum. You can hear the beginnings of Soundgarden,
Right.
but it's a style that hadn't yet found itself, so it's a little tough to listen to. But again, it was 1989. That's when the Beastie Boys blew up huge. Guns N' Roses was cranking out albums by the millions. Metallica was doing the same, selling out 1 million people stadiums in Moscow. We had no clue what was about to come. In 1989, Soundgarden broke it, and it took 3 years for the next album. But in my mind, just finding that out today labels them pioneers of grunge to me, which I had classified as Nirvana until today.
Oh, dude, most definitely. I was gonna say, so I think it's it's definitely a sad thing, but at the same time, it'll allow people to go back and like, especially some I work with some some younger people in my office, and it's kind of it happens often to where I'll mention a song or a band or a group, and some people don't have any context to that, and I'm like, where are your parents? Like, what kind of music are they listening to? And so, you know, with this, hopefully it allows people to go back and kind of listen through the catalog and kind of see, you know, what styles were out, you know, what we grew up listening to, and the things that sort of shaped, you know, our generation, right?
Mm-hmm. Most definitely. I mean, it's always a good idea to go back and at least try and listen. And if you're not a fan, you're not a fan. Don't let anybody tell you that you should be a fan. But every once in a while, you'll come across some music that you actually really like.
Right.
In a weird sort of way, that's me and the Beatles. For the longest time, I knew who the Beatles were. I had no clue what their music was. And then I happened to be a long truck ride with Dad somewhere. He just wanted to listen to the Beatles. There was song after song that I was like, wow, I really never realized this was them, but I really like this song.
Right. I mean, I think I'm like that with the Beatles too. And for me, yeah, man, like so. You know, I'll go ahead and throw this out there. I don't know if Clayton Turnbull ever watches this show, right? But man, when he first came to North, he was always talking about was it Led Zeppelin? And I had heard of him, but I just wasn't like into him like that, right?
Yep.
And so I was like, I get it, bro. The Wall, that's cool, or not the Wall. What was he talking about? When you just talked about the Zeppelin album. I was like, you know, I get it. That it's all good. And then it's not until like years after we graduated, right? I started going back, and now I own every Zeppelin album ever recorded, just because I'm like, holy crap, man! What was I not? Why wasn't I paying attention to this dude when he was trying to put me on game? He was just.
It's like craft beer, man. It's an acquired taste. I'll be honest with you. I'm not a huge Zeppelin fan at all.
Right. Say what you were saying. You're not a huge Zeppelin fan, but what?
Oh yeah, I'm not a huge Zeppelin fan at all. I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there that spans many decades, but there's a handful of songs that I really, really, really do like.
Right.
Dire Maker, Stairway to Heaven, obviously. Kashmir is actually a well put together song. If you can put rock guitars with orchestra instruments,
yeah, I was just gonna say that.
You have a song that can transcend multiple genres.
Right.
It's kind of like when Metallica did their album with that world famous orchestra, and then that song "No Leaf Clover." One of my favorite songs.
Yeah, is that the Brian Setzer Orchestra?
Yes, it actually is.
Okay, yeah. See, I know some things. I'm not even a Metallica fan, but I know some things.
See, there you go. I'm not a Zeppelin fan. You're not a Metallica fan. There's nothing wrong with that.
Oh, no. And I was going to say the thing about Zeppelin that absolutely blew my mind is when somebody showed me a video of, what's his face, playing guitar with a freaking violin bow. That absolutely blew my mind because I had never seen or heard anything make those sounds. And so, other than Hendrix, that was like one of the greatest moments in rock and roll for me. But yeah. So if you're just now joining, I'm on this black quad from Real Ale, out of Blanco, Texas, Belgian style quad. I don't know what those monks are doing out in the hills, but it makes me want to reevaluate why I wasn't a monk at a younger age. There's a few things that you would have had to give up, but at the same time, you would have been brewing Belgian style beer. And Frank, what are you drinking again?
Carlsbad Chronic, straight out of Carlsbad, California, and Sam Adams Hopscape.
Are you double fisting?
Yeah, I'm double fisting, bro. We normally have about 2 or 3 different beers.
Yeah, I only did one though because this is a 10%er, and so because I do have a show tomorrow, and because I'm trying to wake up and still run, I have to partake in the not so fun part of being a musician, and that's restringing my guitar before tomorrow. So yeah, I'm trying to chill after this Frosty Friday episode. But yeah, man. So top 5. If you could do a top 5 songs featuring or with Chris Cornell, What would your top five be?
In any order, or do you want me to list them in
Oh yeah,
best
no,
to?
no, it's too hard to be like, this is my all-time favorite. So I would just do just just a list of five.
Well, so the first thing that got me on Chris Cornell was the Temple of the Dog album,
Okay.
the Hunger Strike. That's where I was introduced to the voice. The same time that came out, I want to say they released Bad Motorfinger,
Okay.
or at least started playing it more. So then I was awoken to Outshine and Rusty Cage. Um, and then Super Unknown hit, and I can still remember it to this day, watching MTV Spoon Man comes on for the first time. Me and Kurt, which is my brother, if people are watching and don't know, gave it about 30 seconds and turned the channel because we thought it was about to be a song about heroin.
Right, right.
I mean, this dude whips out spoons and we're like, what? And then he says all his friends are brown and red. All right, we're out. Let's change the channel. Go to the box. What's on the box?
Dude, I never put the two and two together. I never would have put heroin with that, but now that you say that, it totally makes sense.
Yeah. So, give it some time. Kind of like Linkin Park, that first video, that first song they did, same difference. Change the channel, and then someone else shows it to you, and I can't remember who made me sit down and watch Spoon Man. But it was probably somebody I was hanging out with at the times. 94 would have been middle school, so it would either been
Wiseman,
Mel or Chris Downs. Once I was introduced to Spoon Man, which was their first single off Super Unknown, man, that whole album, it was like I went to the store and I couldn't get the tape. Yes, I said tape fast enough. And then the next video from Super Unknown on MTV, I know it wasn't Black Hole Sun, but that one also, what was it? I can't even think off the top of my head. But then that Black Hole Sun hit the video airways, and Soundgarden just got wore out, and I'm like, all right, how quickly are we going to release another album?
right?
And then that next one hit, and then I really liked that album, but it didn't do very well as far as record sales go. But Pretty Noose, Blow Up the Outside World, awesome songs to me. Awesome.
Nice. So was that five?
And
Way to cut out. Apparently, Facebook Live didn't want you to hear the other few songs that he had. So while he's out, I will go ahead and say that Spoon Man was definitely in my top list. Fell on Black Days is, man, that's up there too. And I think they're both off the same album. So I guess I just really like that album, and it looks like I lost Frank, but yeah, man, I just really like that album. Apparently, again, because it was my introduction to Soundgarden. Black Hole Sun is I mean, I know it's kind of like their pop ish sensation album or whatever. But yeah, so I'd say, Black Hole Sun's definitely in my my top list of well, I mean, you know what I'm saying, like the radio airplay flow. I know it's not necessarily pop, but yeah, so that's it's in my top, like on list wise. So I would yeah, that's just definitely in that list. And then the Edge wears a lot of songs out. It's like or it did wear a lot of songs out. R.I.P. the Edge too. I would say that there was a lot of time that they played that song, but yeah, that's just one of my jams. And then So another influential one for me, I would say, would be man, like Cochise from Audio Slave. Just because once the drums hit, sort of on that song, I'm a big Rage Against the Machine fan, and so Tom Morello, just his guitar style on on that just this song, like I'm like don't how could you not be into this song necessarily? And then, because especially once the guitar hits, let me turn that down real quick because my son's trying to sleep. But like, yeah, once the guitar hits, man, it's just like you just get super pumped, right? So it's like it's this song and like AC/DC Back in Black, like you get super pumped just when you hear these songs. And so yeah, that's this is in my top Chris Cornell related songs. And again, these are going to be on the Spotify playlist. I'm going to open it up to anybody who wants to add anything to the playlist, Chris Cornell related. It's just something that people can kind of listen to, and I'll share out the link on Facebook too, to where you can add your favorite Chris Cornell song. So yeah, but like, yeah, and then when his voice hits, like, I mean, seriously, how can you not get pumped listening to Cochise by Audio Slave? So again, top 5 Chris Cornell, and then actually, so Flo, you had a good note, because the Temple of the Dog, Say Hello to Heaven. I think that's a perfect sort of song for all that happened, all that's going on with him, and man, but if you kind of look at like some of his song catalog and things of that nature, a lot of his stuff was like deep to the sense of outer worldly, other realmly, I should say, and so he was a really amazing songwriter. So if you aren't up on Chris Cornell, Soundgarden, Temple of the Dog, Audio Slave, any of those groups, then I suggest you check out this playlist. Go deeper, like I will, and look at some of the stuff from 1989, which again, I had no idea that they had been playing music since '89. Yeah, them and the Chili Peppers have still been in this thing for almost like 30-40 years, right? So yeah, that's it. That's all I got for tonight. Frank, thanks for joining. Sorry, man, we had so many technical difficulties. Software is absolutely the devil, and it's just sad because it's the industry that I'm in, but it's all the devil. And tonight, again, drinking Black Quad out of Real Ale. They are in Blanco, Texas. Yeah, he was, and yes, the lyrics are definitely multiple personalities. Totally agree with that, Flo. Belgian Ale, it's quadruple, 10%er. Look at that amazing color. You can't even see through it. It's black, it's sweet, and it's definitely savory. So if you're into craft beer, quadruples were an intro into sort of like Belgian style beers in general were an intro into craft beer for me, and it's only fitting because Soundgarden, Nirvana, and all that stuff was an intro into rock and roll to me. And with the sad news that's going on, with Chris Cornell's passing, I thought it's awesome to sort of highlight, sort of that music catalog. And then we got Flo over there drinking that Carlsbad Chronic out of California. And Flo, I will trade you if you bring something tomorrow, if you're coming out tomorrow to the show, an Intrinsic, I will have a few somethings for you, and you can bring me some Carlsbad, and we can square up. Yeah, man. Thank you guys for tuning in. We're gonna go out. Hold on. So before we go out on Frank, so Frank's song "Say Hello to Heaven," Nothing Left to Say But Goodbye would have also been another song to end this on flow. So I just want you, I don't know if you've heard that song out of Audio Slave, but it's Nothing Left to Say But Goodbye. It's a great song. You can check out the full recording, snafus, snags, and all on QuincyForteMusic.com/The Ramblings. It's my blog, and it's where I post all of these amazing videos about beer and music. So yeah, check it out if you'd like. If you're in Dallas, Garland, Fort Worth, Plano, Frisco, Wiley, wherever, and you just happen to be around from noon to 3 tomorrow, I will be playing at Intrinsic. I would go on a limb to say one of the best barbecue places in Dallas, in the city. I would also go on a limb to say that they have the most amazing nachos that I've ever tried in my entire life, just because it has so much of what I love. It has nacho stuff. It has barbecue sauce. So, I mean, how can you go wrong with that? So, shout out to Intrinsic. Shout out to E. Fratelli's. They're not paying for anything on this show, but they have some of the most amazing pizza that I've ever tried. And I'm not even like a really cheese pizza fan, but man, I like smash on some cheese pizza from E. Fratelli's. So shout out to E. Fratelli's. If you ever watch this, feel free to give me some pizza coupons. You can build one in Wiley. This whole family would probably keep you afloat, just because. No knocking against Pizza Hut, but it's like miles above Pizza Hut. So, with that, we're just gonna leave out with "Say Hello to Heaven" from Temple of the Dog. Again, Flow, man. So I'm totally gonna post your half of the show to where you were the main host, and then I'm gonna edit in all this stuff that we did together so people can kind of see that live is no joke, and it is what it is. So yeah, man, y'all just stay up. Thanks for tuning in, and have a good Friday night. Go get some sleep, because why are you still leaving up? All right, later.